Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Music and Moonsaults. I am your host, Chris Bourdine, and it's the second edition of Let It Play Out? Question mark. And we're gonna go AEW centric today. First episode we was right after the Rumble, so we covered it was all WWE stuff. Today we're going to do AEW. We're going to focus on AEW today. And we're coming off an awesome episode of AEW Dynamite on Wednesday. It's one of the best episodes of Dynamite ever, in my opinion. It's just really great stuff. And there's three things in particular I want to talk about real quick. And the first one is Keith Lee is now All Elite. And this is awesome for so many reasons. Now, so this all started, obviously it all started when he was released about 3 months ago by WWE, which I think we all can agree on was just it was totally believable. It was unbelievable at the same time because while it's unbelievable that they missed so hard on Keith Lee once they brought him up to the main roster, but at the same time, judging by all the other talent they've missed on, especially in the recent history, it's not surprising. But anyways, so last Friday, Tony Khan, sends out a string of tweets, and I'm not gonna to paraphrase. He said, Isaiah Cassidy from Private Party was going to be in a qualifying match for the Face of the Revolution ladder match coming up at Revolution. And he was going to face a mystery opponent, and that mystery opponent is the newest signee to AEW, and they're coming through the Forbidden Door, and AEW wants to work with anybody, and he made some references to their WWE, talking about people who are even companies who are open for business, which is something Nick Khan has said in interviews or during the the investor calls about WWE possibly selling. And he also said that this new signee would be slamming the Forbidden Door on their former employer. Now, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but Keith Lee, awesome. He comes in. He looks fantastic. He threw Isaiah Cassidy like all the way across the ring. Just the damnedest beal you'll ever see. He looked great. He wins the match. He's going on to the Revolution Manor match. As far as Keith Lee and AEW on the 1 to 10 scale here, if I'm letting it's a 10. Like, I think Keith Lee is going to just kill it in AEW. There's no reason for him not to kill it in AEW, and I'm very excited for this. Now, that brings me to topic number 2, and it's all related to what Tony was talking about on Friday. We also get Jay White appearing on AEW Dynamite in a segment with Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. Jay White is currently one of the leaders of Bullet Club. I believe there's a fracture within Bullet Club, and there's multiple, there's Evil, I think, is leading a group, and then there's the Jay White GOD group, and they're doing some stuff on Impact with Chris Bay, and they're, fighting with the Good Brothers, and obviously the Young Bucks and Adam Cole and Kenny Omega, and as well as Hangman Adam Page, and Cody, even to us, obviously was part of Bullet Club. So and AEW was founded largely because of All In, and All In was made possible because of the Elite, who at the time were part of Bullet Club. But so Jay White shows up. I believe he's supposed to be accompanying the Young Bucks to the ring tomorrow night on Rampage for their match against Roppongi Vice that we're finally going to get to see. Didn't get to happen a few weeks ago because Rocky Romero tested positive for COVID, and now we're finally going to get that match in AEW. And Keith Lee and Jay White were kind of the two names, the most prominent names that were being thrown about as far as who this new signing would be. Obviously, Jay White's still under contract in New Japan, so he really wouldn't be a signing. He would be coming through the Forbidden Door. So as far as what, and I don't know. So Tony comes out after Dynamite and tweets that he screwed up his own definition of what the Forbidden Door was, and so he didn't actually make the deal to have Jay White appear on Dynamite until Sunday, after he realized what he had tweeted. And to me, and I was talking about this with Matt Durr, who you've seen on this channel multiple times. We were texting about this back and forth, and I kind of agree with him. When you think of all the people that AEW has brought in, I would say that the four biggest, as I just hit my microphone, I would say the four biggest free agents that Tony Khan has brought in were Jon Moxley, Eddie King, or not Eddie Kingston, although that was a big one too. But Jon Moxley, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, and Adam Cole. And they were all heavily rumored and talked about, but never once. They were all surprises. Jon Moxley showed up at the end of the first Double or Nothing pay-per-view, unannounced. They didn't even say that there was a signing there that was showing up. Same with CM Punk, even though it was the worst kept secret in all of wrestling, and he was the whole reason why they booked the United Center for a live Rampage. It was never like CM Punk is coming. He just showed up to open that episode of Rampage. Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole, same thing. They just showed up at the end of All Out. There's a theme here that it seems like the most impactful signings that AEW make are unannounced. And I think I get him wanting to hype the signing up to get people to tune into the show. I get that. But I think the way you get more people to tune into the show long term is to just do these surprises unannounced, to where it's a point where I can't miss an episode of Dynamite because I don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's a big thing of why I've kind of stopped watching WWE so much, is because you pretty much already know what's going to happen. I can't remember the last time they've done something where I'm like, holy crap, I'm glad I watched that live. Even the last time I specifically tuned into Raw for something was when Big E was cashing in Money in the Bank. That was cool, but they completely tipped their hand. They completely tipped their hand earlier today when Big E's basically on Twitter yeah, I'm gonna be on Raw tonight, and it's okay, Big E's gonna cash in and win the title tonight. I really can't think of the last thing that they maybe. Gosh, and this is going back 3 or 4 years now. Maybe Bryan beating AJ for the title on SmackDown right before Survivor Series in 2018. So yeah, 3.5 years now. When that happened, that's the last thing I can just come up with out of the top of my head that WWE did, where I'm like, okay, well, I need to tune in every week now because I never know what's going to happen. But I digress. As far as Jay White, I mean, I don't know how much he's going to be involved going forward. And that's it's weird too, because I don't have a strong opinion on Jay White one way or another. I know the timeline was I saw a lot of very happy pro Jay White tweets. I know a couple people who are not really big fans of Jay White. My exposure to Jay White was actually before, pre-Bullet Club, pre-Switchblade, when he was in Ring of Honor, wrestling just as Jay White. He had just white trunks and white kick pads over his boots or shoes or whatever. Like, so that was when I saw Jay White, and I liked him then. And like I said, so I haven't really seen a whole lot of the Switchblade stuff. So I'm interested, if he's going to be around for a little bit and play into this whole Adam Cole, Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Red Dragon story. I'll be into that because I'm into all that. Especially that what I consider like that golden era, the elite era of the Bullet Club. So I think that'll be cool. So I guess Jay White and AEW, I'll give it a 5 right in the middle because, like I said, I don't have a strong feeling either way on Jay White. But as far as Tony Khan making these tweets and I really think less is more. Like if he would have just said, hey, the next Isaiah Cassidy's wrestling a mystery opponent, and it's the newest free agent signing. That would have been just fine. Like, and I haven't seen a whole lot of people other than just people who anti-AEW trolls who have like said anything bad about them signing Keith Lee. Obviously, like I think pretty much everyone who watches AEW is happy about the Keith Lee signing. But when you start talking about Forbidden Door and slamming the door, I mean, let's call it what it is. Like Keith Lee was fired. Like he was released. It's not like he left like Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson did. He was released. So he didn't slam the Forbidden Door in WWE's face. So you just when you say stuff like you had people thinking it was going to be Jeff Hardy, even though I even thought that. I was like, because if there's anyone that has any ammunition to challenge the 90-day non-compete, it's Jeff Hardy. I mean, he really got fired for no reason. But yeah. So I really think less is more when it comes to hyping these free agent signings. So on Tony Khan hype tweets, if I'm letting 1 to 10 letting them play out, I'm gonna go like a 3. Like he really needs to dial that back a little bit. So, and our last topic for today, the seeming implosion of the Inner Circle. Now, I am a Chris Jericho fan, and that's something that up until last November, or not this past November, the November before, wasn't that controversial statement. And then he makes some tweets and says some things that people don't agree with, and look, that's cool. Like I'm not here to say you should be a Chris Jericho fan. I'm just saying I am still. I admit it's harder now because of some things he's we think he some things he thinks we think he believes and stuff like that. But and because of that, I think people are being, I don't want to say they're being harder on Chris Jericho. It just seems like the hatred for all things Chris Jericho has been a little bit ramped up more than what I think it should be for what he's been doing on AEW television. That aside, I also am in agreement that the last 9 months of the Inner Circle has just been a complete botch. They had the feud with the Pinnacle, and they blew it off at Double or Nothing in Stadium Stampede with the stipulation that if the Inner Circle lost, they would have to disband. And so everyone assumed that they were going to lose, and they ended up winning, which, it's Stadium Stampede is kind of their match, even though they lost the first one. Why wouldn't they lose the second one too? But they end up winning, so Inner Circle stays a happy family. And then, like, both Inner Circle and Pinnacle since then, like, if I had never watched AEW before, and then you told me that, Santana and Ortiz and Hager and Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho were a faction, like I wouldn't have believed you, because there was hardly any evidence that was the case. I mean, they've barely been on TV together. Same with the Pinnacle, other than, that MJF segment this week was great, and they're starting to be a little more cohesion with the Pinnacle. But yeah, the Inner Circle, like, at times it's really not made sense why they stuck together. Especially because if they lose that, then you can. I know Chris Jericho has said before that he wasn't like. He didn't want the Inner Circle to break up the traditional way that factions usually break up, where there's this inner tension and then they fight and then they break up. It was going to be more of a mutual, where it was like, well, either we can't team together anymore, or, you go do your thing, we'll go do our thing. So then, about a month or so ago, they started this thing with, it's probably like 2 months now, with Eddie Kingston and 2.0 and Daniel Garcia, and they take out Chris Jericho. So then Santana and Ortiz are teaming with Eddie Kingston against those three, and then Jericho came back to make the save, and Eddie and Chris are kind of like, they don't like each other for whatever reason, and Santana and Ortiz are kind of in the middle. And so we get to this Inner Circle team meeting on Wednesday, and we're gonna get a match next week with Santana and Ortiz versus Jericho and Hager. Now, there's a lot of people out there who have felt that Santana Ortiz has been underutilized, and they should be closer to winning the AEW tag team titles, and that the Inner Circle has held them back. I will say that, yes, I agree. Santana Ortiz has been underutilized. They are a great tag team. Santana in particular, his mic work on Wednesday was fantastic. And even, him looking into the camera at the end while Jericho was going home on the segment and setting up the match for next week. Like, he's the MVP of that segment by far. I will say, I want those people who think that they've been held back by the Inner Circle, and that's perfectly fine if you feel that way, but I want you to tell me where in the last 9 months they would have fit in the tag team title picture. Because yes, I agree, they should be champions by now, but like, at All Out, it was the Lucha Brothers, and I guess they could have got a match with the Lucha Brothers. They kind of were hinting that way, and then the whole Dan Lambert and America Top Team stuff happened. I don't know. This thing all of a sudden feels kind of rushed. And I'm not going to argue that it's not time for Inner Circle to part ways. Because it probably is. I think if the Inner Circle breaks up last May, I don't know if Santana or Ortiz are necessarily in a better position than what they are now, like a lot of people do. And maybe they would be, maybe they wouldn't be. I don't know. But that's just kind of my take on it. As far as the breakup goes, and I hope Santana and Ortiz win. I definitely think that, I think the segment was really great, because I think both Santana and Jericho had valid points, and Jericho made his points in a way where you can kind of be like, yeah, you're right, like where it was, he said something about plucking them from obscurity, and to a portion of the audience that's going to come off as disrespectful, because they were familiar with their work as LAX and Impact before coming over, and and stuff like that. But then for another part of the audience, someone like myself who didn't watch Impact, I certainly knew of Santana and Ortiz, but I never saw a match of theirs before they came to AEW. So that kind of has some truth. But the way Jericho came across when he said that, he came across as kind of a dick. And I definitely think Jericho should be the heel in this scenario. So if 1 to 10, how am I letting the breakup of the Inner Circle play out? I'm going to give it a 7 because I think eventually it's going to lead us to the Jericho-Kingston match and maybe at Revolution. And that should be pretty good because I think it's going to force Jericho to tap into more of what he should be doing now, which is maybe more brawling instead of like actual like technical wrestling at his age. And yeah, and hopefully, and I'm hoping, I'm right there with everyone. I'm hoping this leads to bigger and better things for Santana and Ortiz, because I think they do deserve that. But I guess time will tell. So, all right, that will do it for today edition of Let It Play Out. Real quick, hopefully you've checked out this month's edition of the Rock and Roll Retrospective with Joel Pearl, where we talked about the Offspring album Ixnay and the Hombre. That was a lot of fun. I'm gonna have Joe Holbert on later this month for a Wrestling Wayback Machine. I'm not gonna give away the match we're gonna cover, but that should be a lot of fun. And yeah, I got just got things always coming up with new stuff. So yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at IBenChris. I am being more diligent about posting the links to the videos on my Facebook, so please give me a like over at facebook.com/music and moonsaults. And then, of course, if you want the audio for all the podcasts, go to anchor.fm/Christopher-Bordine5, and that will lead you wherever you want to go. Or you can just go directly, whatever, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other podcast platform that you frequent. Yeah. So, anyways, until next time, guys, see ya.